Welcome to another Countdown to the Cup. I'm Joaquin Jaime in our TVG studios. The first division we'll go ahead and take a look at is the Filly and Mare Sprinters, and one of your major contenders who will have a new jockey for the Breeders' Cup. Artemis Agrotera, who is 5 for 7 in her career and has won the Grade 1 Ballerina and the Gallant Bloom this year with jockey Rajiv Mirage, will have a new jockey in Jose Ortiz for the Breeders' Cup. I had a chance to speak to trainer Michael Hushin, and he told me he and the owners just had concerns if Rajiv would be 100% on November 1st after that spill in which he broke his arm in the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. That is the reason they had decided for the change to jockey Jose Ortiz, who has won on the Filly in the past and actually was in the irons in her most recent workout at Belmont Park, going 4 furlongs on October 7th. Hushin also did tell me that Artemis Agrotera is expected to ship out here to Santa Anita on the Sunday prior to the Breeders' Cup. Right now, let's go to Caleb Keller at Keeneland Racecourse for an update on the Breeders' Futurity winner.
Well, Joaquin, a couple weeks ago, there was really only one horse in the juvenile division that was standing atop the mountain. That was American Pharoah for Mr. Zaya and Bob Baffert. But over the weekend, Todd Pletcher unveiled his first string in stakes races there in New York, but also here at Keeneland. How about the big victory there in the Grade 1 Claiborne Futurity for Carpediem for the Windstar Farms? This horse went for $1.6 million at auction. Now, it actually was a 2-year-old in training sale, so they had a chance to see this horse work out a couple times before they put forward that big chunk of change. Had a chance to talk with Elliott Walden, and I asked Elliott, I said, you've been around a lot of great horses. Where does this horse stack up in terms of some of the best 2-year-olds that you've seen? And he told me point blank, he thinks it's the best 2-year-old they've ever had there for the Windstar Farms. And believe it or not, he's the first Grade 1 winner for the Windstar Farms for a 2-year-old. He said they've won the Jockey Club a couple times with Churchill Downs with Super Saver, who would go on to win the Kentucky Derby. And one thing Elliott told me, he said he's just really got this air about him. He just really carries himself like a man at the very young age. And Carpe Diem, off of an easy maiden breaker at Saratoga and then a blowout win here at Keeneland, looks to be a very strong suitor coming into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile to take on American Pharoah. Joaquin?
And Caleb, will the top race for 2-year-olds in the fall at Keeneland is the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity. For 2-year-old fillies, it's the Grade 1 Darley Alcibiades. Let's go back to Keeneland right now with Todd Schrupp and Simon Bray, who had a chance to talk to trainer Ollie Stevens about Peace and War and why he brought this filly to the States and her future plans going into the Breeders' Cup.
I mean, that was part of the reason we came here anyway, because she wouldn't have got into the Breeders' Cup, and her owners were very keen to go there, so we had to do this. It was, you know, obviously a great opportunity in other ways. From now, she'll train here. She's done so good here. I'm not going to rush to get her out to California. I gather it's very, very hot there at the moment. You know, it's a busy track there. This is a quieter track in the mornings. So she's going to stay here in Kellen Gorda's barn in the mornings. She'll breeze one time before she flies on the 21st. Train there 5 days. Breeze again, I'll be there for that. And then we run.
And while Peace and War will be looking for back-to-back Grade 1 victories in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies at Santa Anita, we go back to Caleb Keller for an update on a big maiden winner at Belmont Park.
Thank you, Joaquin. And we saw a 2-year-old filly really emerge earlier this year into the juvenile fillies picture. A horse by the name of Puka, who actually broke her maiden at Belmont Park by 16 lengths for Bill Mott and the Donegal Racing Partnership. Had a chance to talk with Jerry Crawford this morning, and kind of an interesting story with Puka. This horse is actually kin to Finnegan's Wake, who's going to be competing in the Breeders' Cup Turf this year at Santa Anita. And all along, they figured being by Big Brown, she would probably be a horse that would want to route on the turf. Now, first time out was just a sprint race. They gave her the race. 7th beaten 10 lengths, just pretty much crossed the line through that one for fitness. The second start, they tried the turf and actually ran a pretty nice third behind Lady Eli, who's actually one of the divisional leaders there for the juvenile turf fillies. And then after that race on the turf, Jerry Crawford talked with Bill Mott and said, you know, Finnegan's Wake actually had a couple of good races on the dirt. She was training on the Oklahoma Training Center there at Saratoga, and Bill Mott said she was finishing up really well. It's usually a very deep, tiring racetrack, and she was finishing up so well, they decided to give her a race there on the dirt, and 16 lengths was the winning margin their first time routing on the dirt. Now, she's only a horse with the maiden win to her name, so she's hoping that obviously there won't be enough horses with graded stakes earnings to push her out. But Jerry Crawford thinks that even off that maiden score, they're feeling pretty confident that she can get into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And if you're wondering about the name Puka, Donegal Racing Partnership and Mr. Crawford with their Irish background, Puka is Gaelic for ghost. She's out of the Great Mare Boats Ghost, and thus the name Puka. So the 16-length maiden winner there for Bill Mott looks to be a heavy hitter coming into the Juvenile Fillies division coming up at Santa Anita. Joaquin?
And Caleb, now to look at a few runners in New York. The first one we'll take a look at is a horse that's coming off a second-place finish in the Grade 1 Champagne behind Todd Pletcher's Daredevil. That is the New York bred upstart for trainer Rick Violette, who is 2 for 3 lifetime. Rick Violette did tell me that the Breeders' Cup Juvenile is definitely in their plans. Although not 100% committed, they are most likely leaning that way. I also had a chance to talk to Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee. He is expected to bring 2 runners out here for the Breeders' Cup. That would be Abaco in the Philly and Mare turf and Imagining for the Breeders' Cup turf. A reminder to go ahead and take advantage of our Breeders' Cup sign-up bonus. Wager 200, get 150. All the details at TVG, 4NJ Bets, and PABets.com.